We got our best indication yet that Caitlin Clark is on her way back toward a return for the Indiana Fever. Stephanie White did talk about Caitlin Clark, and I thought the comments were fairly telling. Here's what she had to say.
Caitlin, able to go through your little walkthrough or whatever you normally do, and what do you want to see ultimately to get comfort whenever the time comes?
Caitlin Clark just laced up for practice again, and the entire WNBA is in full-blown panic mode.
We went through our walkthrough yesterday. Today it was very short, prior to game time. But she went through it yesterday, and I want to see her in practice. Live in practice. Want to see her continue to work to not just build endurance, but to be able to handle contact 94 feet as it's going to be in game, and to be able to do that and sustain from an endurance standpoint. And that's going to take multiple practices to make sure that there's no regression. And as most of us know, when we get fatigued, we look different, and see how she plays through fatigue.
After being sidelined for weeks with that nagging groin injury, the Fever's franchise star is back on the hardwood. And suddenly, every headline, every fan, and every rival player is buzzing with the same question. Is this comeback too soon, or exactly what Indiana needs to flip the script? One thing's undeniable. Nobody in the league is ready for what's about to happen. And while Fever fans are celebrating, the jealous players who spent all season taking cheap shots at Clark, they're sweating bullets. But before we dive into how her return flips the entire playoff race, drop your prediction in the comments. Will Caitlin Clark come back stronger than ever, or is this move too risky? And while you're there, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next.
You see Caitlin Clark, this video captured by Chloe Peterson at Shoot Around. You can see Caitlin doing some work right there, just, warm-up work, back and forth on the court, but nonetheless on a basketball court. It's been a long time since we've seen Caitlin Clark on a basketball court. Certainly a long time since we've seen Caitlin Clark play basketball.
Head coach Stephanie White finally gave us the clearest picture yet of Clark's status. She said, "I want to see her in practice live, not just endurance, but handling full court contact, sustaining it, and playing through fatigue."
Because if you look at the Fever injury list, it's just wild to see. It's like the Star Wars scroll at the end of one of those movies. It's just a endless list of players who have been out, back out of the lineup again, and really just a lineup that you could build. If you were the Indiana Fever, you could roll out there if you were experimenting, depending on the situation and the nature of the game.
Translation: Clark isn't 100% cleared, but she's close. And the second she's back, the entire balance of the league shifts.
And there was a little bit more footage here, and you see Caitlin involved on the floor yet again, even handling the ball, working with her teammates. I mean, that's an important sign there, to see her working with her teammates.
Here's the reality. The moment Clark stepped back onto the court, the WNBA ecosystem changed. The league might pretend like it runs on parity, but everyone knows who drives the engine. Ticket sales, TV contracts, viral highlights. Clark's fingerprints are on all of it. Even at 80%, her presence instantly changes the playoff picture. That's why you can practically hear Angel Reese, Aja Wilson, and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert gritting their teeth. Clark's return threatens the fragile narrative they've been pushing since the day she entered the league.
I noticed when you're asking about Caitlin a lot, you bring up other rookies as well.
No league's ever about one player. That player could get hurt or whatever. So I think it's just to give recognition that in sports, people watch for compelling content and rivalries. And you can't do that alone as one person.
Look like we may actually have some legitimate movement in the direction of Caitlin Clark coming back, and I will sort of look at the schedule with you guys and try to determine what game I think she might actually show back up in.
When Clark went down, The noise was unanimous. Indiana's cooked. It wasn't just a couple games. She missed nearly 2 months. The kind of absence that derails entire seasons. Meanwhile, the Fever's roster was gutted. Sophie Cunningham, out. Chloe Bibby, out. Sydney Colson and Arie McDonald, shut down. What was left looked more like a patchwork scrimmage squad than a playoff contender. Without Clark's gravity-pulling defenders, Indiana's offense turned into YMCA-level basketball. That's not disrespect. That's the truth.
Against the Sparks, and this is a big game because the Sparks are right there with us in the playoff race, and they hold tiebreakers. By the way, so do the Valkyrie. All right, we do have one win. I believe it's one win over the Mercury. And then we've got a Sky team that we should beat, a Mystics team that we should beat, but you can't. I mean, who knows? I think they beat us in the last game. And then we close out the regular season with the Lynx. We're not making the playoffs without Caitlin Clark. There. Yeah, I said it. We're not making the playoffs without Caitlin Clark. I don't think. All right? And it's these two games that are the big pivot games. Sparks, Valkyries. That game right there, that Friday night game, I have a feeling that she might actually return for that game.
Then, boom. Practice footage leaks. Clark jogging, shooting, feeding passes. She isn't cleared for full contact yet, but the internet exploded anyway. Comment sections filled with predictions, memes, and debates. Executives were glued to their screens. Deep down, they all know the same thing. The WNBA without Clark is just another league. With her back, everything is different.
Not necessarily probably team practices, but being able to put together, threes, fours, and different things that we can go against and match up with.
Great follow-up question by Tony East there, because that's been a question that people have wondered, is there even enough practice time? And a nice distinction drawn by Stephanie White there, which is important, which means she needs to see Caitlin Clark in practice, but it doesn't have to necessarily be official team practice, meaning they will be able to replicate what a practice looks like. They're not going to sit there with Caitlin Clark healthy and ramping up and just leave her there when they're in the playoffs if she's ready to go. They're going to figure that out on the fly, is how you take those comments. You also take them to mean that Caitlin Clark is back participating with the team, which we got a hint of on Sunday. They've been behind closed doors since then. You start to look at the schedule. I mean, I think at any point, it's getting more and more realistic. The more the Fever win without her, the more time is bought. Like, the ideal date may be that Chicago game on September 5th, and since it's at home and there's space between, but you can't totally rule out the road trip either, which still has the 29th, the 31st, and the 2nd.
Now comes the biggest question. Should she even return this season? The cautious voices say no. Groin injuries linger, and re-injury could be catastrophic. Long-term health is worth more than a desperate playoff push. But Fever fans, TV networks, the WNBA marketing department, they're screaming. The season is meaningless without her. And let's be honest, Kathy Engelbert isn't losing sleep over Clark's long-term career. She just wants her golden ticket back on the court to rescue the league's bottom line.
Caitlin Clark is clearly ramping up, not being shut down. Now, there can always be a setback, but it seems like things are trending certainly in a positive direction. So for all the doom and gloom, and of course, I'm not sitting here telling you the Fever are winning the championship or anything, but it feels like their fight is being rewarded. That team is playing hard. They're playing well. People are coming in and playing well on the fly, and Caitlin Clark has healed up.
I know a lot of you are like, why come back? Why come back? Well, look, if she's back and she can get in the flow and she does need to come back, I think with several games to go to get back and try to find her first rhythm for the year. Really and truly, getting a good then yeah, they become very dangerous with a big 3. And look, I'm using that term loosely because Aaliyah Boston has not been great lately. Big 2.5.
If Clark returns against the Sparks or the Valkyries, the playoff race flips overnight. Indiana's odds skyrocket. Los Angeles and Golden State scramble. Rival players who've been trash-talking Clark, suddenly, they're staring down a nightmare. Clark storming back with a logo 3 in their face. Even the refs aren't looking forward to it. Every call involving Clark is going to be dissected, slowed down, and blasted online. The league knows it. The refs know it. The fans know it. Clark's safety isn't just about her career. It's about protecting the credibility of the league itself.
She's healthy. It's just getting her back to where she needs to be from a basketball standpoint. But all in all, even Chloe Bibby, Stephanie White said, would be hopefully back at practice by the end of the week. All things considered, it's got to be the best day in Feverland in a long time.
So here's the question. Do you think Caitlin Clark should come back this season or shut it down and fully recover for next year? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like this video, and subscribe so you never miss what happens next.